Greetings and welcome to Yarnspirations. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at the beginner knit hat. This easy to knit and stretchy hat is a perfect small project, and you'll get plenty of practice making both knits and purls as you make this attractive hat. We're going to knit it flat, which means back and forth in rows. You're going to need one skein of red heart with love in the color of your choice. You're going to need some knitting needles, size 6mm or US 10, and you're going to need a yarn needle. So let's get started. You can click on the link below to download the free pattern. While you're down there, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. You can also click on the various social media logos and follow us there. And if you want us to join you on your knitting journey, here's hashtag Yarnspirations so we can see what you're up to. Now let's get started with this cute hat. To get started, you are going to cast on 70 stitches, and we have a video that we'll link out in the description box below to help you if you need a little refresher on casting on. And then we're going to work in knit 2, purl 2 ribbing. Now, following along with the instructions, the first row that we knit is going to be a wrong side row. We're going to purl 2, so just as a little reminder, for the purl stitch, your right hand needle tip comes from right to left in the front leg of the stitch on your left hand needle. You wrap your yarn top to bottom, pull it through the stitch and push it off the left hand needle. Of course, this is for right hand knitters. It'll be different if you're left-handed. Right to left through that front leg, keeping that needle in front of the work. Yarn over from the top down, bring it through the stitch, push it off. So that was my purl 2. Then there's an asterisk, and where there's an asterisk, that usually means we're going to repeat the instructions that follow. So there's an asterisk, and then it says knit 2, purl 2. So here's my knit stitch in the front leg of the stitch, and of course pushing my needle behind the work. Yarn over, pull it through the stitch, and push that left hand stitch off. Once again, through the front leg of the stitch, yarn over, bringing that needle tip back to the front of the work, pulling that stitch with it. And you might notice I'm keeping just a little bit of tension on the working yarn. To me, that helps things move along at a better pace. And once again, the working yarn is the yarn that is attached to the ball of yarn as opposed to the tail yarn, which is the cut end. Now I'm going to bring my yarn forward. When you're bringing your yarn back and forth to switch from knitting to purling, and vice versa, you want to make sure that you're going between the two needles and not catching anything. It's really simple to accidentally make an extra stitch, and you don't want to do that. So when you're bringing that yarn forwards to purl, or backwards so you can knit, you want to make sure you go completely between those needles and do not go over the needle, which will accidentally make more stitches than you want. So this is row 1, which is again the wrong side row. We began with that purl 2, then the asterisk said knit 2, purl 2, repeat from the asterisk to the end of the row. So it was asterisk, knit 2, purl 2, and then it said repeat, so we're going to knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, all the way across to the end of the row. So I have my 4 stitches left. For my last repeat, that's knit 2, purl 2. And that is the end of my wrong side row. Now for row 2, which is the right side row, I'm going to begin with a knit 2, And then there's that asterisk, and it says purl 2, knit 2, repeat from asterisk to end of row. So I'm going to go purl 2, once again being careful that I'm not adding any extra stitches. Knit 2, purl 2, etc., etc., till the end of the row. So all I'm going to do is repeat those 2 rows, row 1 and row 2, until the piece measures about 10 inches or 25.5 centimeters from beginning, ending with a row 1, which is a wrong side row, and that's going to be the last row that I knit. I'm going to complete that row 1, that wrong side row. Then we're going to shape the top of the hat. So I'm going to finish this row, and once again, my piece is not as big as yours is going to be. I just like to have a piece that's small enough that I can show you on camera what I'm doing. So I'm going to come back at the end of this row, and we're going to shape the top of the hat. Once again, your piece will be far larger than mine. I just like to get a big enough piece that you can see on camera what I'm working on. So once you have gotten your piece as big as it says in the directions, we're going to move here to where it says shape top of hat. Now remember, I told you the last row that you were going to knit was going to be a wrong side row. So now we're moving on to a right side row. We're going to knit 2, 1, 2, and there's our asterisk, and it says purl 2 stitches together, knit 2, repeat from asterisk to end of the row. So I'm going to bring that yarn to the front so I can purl. And instead of going under the front leg of 1 stitch, I'm going to go under 2 together. This is a decrease. Yarn over and bring it through both stitches at the same time and push both off the left hand needle. And then I'm going to get that yarn to the back where it belongs for the next stitches, which are knit 2, 1, 2, bring that yarn forward, purl 2 together. We're going to keep doing that all the way across to the end of the row. And you will have 53 stitches on the needle when this row is complete. And it's a good idea to count. When you're doing increasing or decreasing particularly, it's a good idea to count and make sure that you have the same number of stitches the instructions tell you, so that if you have made a mistake, you can find it instantly and not 5 inches or 50 stitches down the row. I'm getting ready for the second row at the shape top of hat. So you can see where my little decreases were, and you can see that the work is starting to draw in and become more narrow across the top. That's what we want, so that there's not a bunch of bulk at the top of the hat. You want these decreases to make the crown nice and smooth. So we're on row 2. It says purl 2, 1, 2, and then asterisk, knit 1, purl 2, repeat from asterisk to end of row. So we're going to go knit 1, purl 2. Knit 1, purl 2, all the way across to the end of the row. Again, remembering that your piece is a lot bigger than this one. For the third row, we're going to knit 2, 1, 2, and then asterisk, purl 1, knit 2, repeat from asterisk to end of row. So that's purl 1, knit 2. Purl 1, knit 2. We're going to do that to the end of the row. For the fourth row, it says repeat row 2, by which we mean go back to row 2 and read those instructions and do exactly what that says. So that's purl 2, 1, 2, then there's that asterisk, knit 1, purl 2, repeat from asterisk across. So we've already done that. We're going to do it again. For the fifth row, it starts with the asterisk and it says knit 2 stitches together, purl 1, repeat from asterisk to last 2 stitches, knit 2 for a total of 36 stitches. So we're going to knit 2 together basically the same way we purled 2 together, by which I mean I'm going to use my right hand needle tip. I'm going to go front to back through the front leg of the stitches, but I'm going through 2 at one time. Then I'll yarn over, bring it through to the front of the work, and push both of those stitches off at the same time. Purl 1, knit 2 together through both stitches as one, bring that yarn around and through, and push both off the left hand needle at the same time. Purl 1, knit 2 together, 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 purl 1. Again, your row is going to be much longer, but it says I'm going to repeat from the asterisk until the last 2 stitches. So there are my last 2 stitches, and it says knit 2. 1, 2. So again, you can see the work has drawn in to become a little more narrow, which again is exactly what we want. Now for the sixth row, it says purl 2, 1, 2, asterisk, knit 1, purl 1, repeat from asterisk to end of row. So we're just going to knit 1, purl 1 all the way across. Knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, oops, purl 1, all the way across. For the seventh row, we're going to knit 2 together, repeat from asterisk. So all we're going to do all the way across is knit 2 together. Knit 2 together, knit 2 together, knit 2 together. We're going to do that all the way across. And when you are finished with that, you are going to have 18 stitches. Again, I will have fewer because I made a smaller sample. And then for the row 8, it just says purl. So for row 8, again, you'll have 18 stitches. I have less than that. You're just going to purl all the way across. The next thing I want to do is take this yarn tail and thread it right into my yarn needle. And I want to pull that short end up. I want to make sure it's not going to pop out when I don't want it to. It says, weave the long tail through the stitches remaining on the needle, removing the stitches from the needle as you go, and pull the tail together to gather to the top. So here's my needle. I'm going to go through a stitch or two. You don't have to do it one at a time. And then when I do that, I'm going to pop it off the needle. It's not going to unravel because the yarn needle is in there. Now, again, because you will have more stitches, I'm going to drop my needle right now and get it out of the way. But you're going to pull that needle through those live stitches. So if you need to pull it through a little bit and then grab the rest of them off the needle, that's fine. And then you're going to pull this yarn all the way through and tighten her up. So that's going to make it so that you can make your hat in a little, you're going to have this little circle on the top from where you tightened all those stitches up. And then you're going to sew the seam heading back towards the bottom. Okay, I zoomed in a little closer here so you can see better what's going on. So I'm going to seam this side to this side. I'm going to line it up so the beginning and the ends of the rows are next to each other. And I'm going to use a mattress stitch. Now I feel certain that we have some mattress stitch video for you that we will link out to in the description, but I'm going to do just a little bit of on camera so you can see what's going on. So in mattress stitch, you come a little bit from the end and you are going under the horizontal bars between the stitches. Now I like to go under 2 at a time. Some people like to do 1 at a time, but I'm going under. Now also you will notice that I'm not pulling it up super tight because sometimes, like everybody else in this world, I will make a mistake. And if it's not pulled up super tight, it's really easy to undo and fix. And every so often, I'm going to pull and tighten that up. Once I know that I don't have any boo-boos in there, I'm going to give that, that working thread a little tug. I'm not going to wait till I get all the way down to the bottom of my 10.5-inch hat, because that's going to be a little bit of a pain to go back and tighten all those stitches up. So I'll put a few in, a couple of inches maybe. Take a look, make sure everything's the way I want it to be. And then give her a little tug. Close things up. Now look how neat that is. The reason we began and ended with 2 stitches the same is because when I close this up with the mattress stitch, it's invisible. You can't even tell. When this is all done, you're not even going to be able to tell where that seam is. Now, the other thing it says in the instructions is when you reach about 3 inches or 7.5 centimeters from the lower edge, sew the seam on the reverse side so that the lower part of the seam will continue to be hidden when the lower section is turned up for the brim. This is what we mean by that. If you keep going like this all the way down, when you turn the brim up, you're going to get this sort of lumpy bit that is on the wrong side of the seam. So when I get about 3 inches from the end, I like to turn the work all the way inside out because it just helps me see what I'm doing. But now I'm going to make it so this is the right side of the seam. so it's smooth and beautiful on this side. So that when I turn that little brim up, it still looks cute. Give it a little tug so it's nice and smooth. So let's turn the hat back so it's right side out. So here is how it looked all smooth and nice on the outside. Here's my last couple of inches where I flipped the seam around. And now when I fold the hat up, I have pretty and not a big ugly lump. After that, all I need to do is use this same yarn needle to weave those yarn tails in and trim them so that they do not come loose. So thank you so much for joining me here on Yarnspirations for the beginner knit hat. I hope you had a wonderful time making your first project. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. And click on those links below to follow us on the various social media outlets. Show us your first project, whether it's this one or another one, using hashtag Yarnspirations so we can see what you're up to. Once again, I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.